You want proof? Here it is. Today's not hype. Today, we're just going to talk about what is actually happening and how it should be happening for you. Because Magnetize Media went from over 2.5 million ranking to 38,000. And we did it quickly, and we can continue to do it consistently. We have the system, we know what to do, and we only want to do it for to help you. For to help you. Sounds like I'm talking like a 5-year-old, all right? But anyway, I'm so glad to have you here with you. I'm so glad to be here with you today. Hi, my name is Steve Kidd. After 40 years of working in the marketing field, 20 of which I've spent helping people write, publish, market their books to bestseller, not just people. I've worked with over 5,000 authors. I have 39 #1 international best-selling books myself. And what I do more than anything else is I'm here to help you be visible and valuable, but to be seen and to get paid. We've done it, and I want to do it for you. Are you ready? All right, well, let's jump right in. Um, you know, the first thing I always do before I ever bring anything to you is I prove it. And I will tell any vendor that wants to work with me that I'm open to doing it, but I won't do it unless they can prove to me that it works. And I make them do that. I use my books as guinea pigs, not so that I can get free services or those kind of things, but so that I can then bring things to you and say, hey, yeah, this works. I know it works. I've seen it work. I've worked it myself. And here's how it's going to help you and work for you. And I do that for you before I ever bring things out. And for everything that I bring out to you, there's there's thousands of pitches, hundreds of things that I actually try out. And then every once in a while, something actually raises above the fray and gets to the point where I really, actually, truly do bring it to you and offer it to you, because every once in a while something comes along that is not too good to be true. I was going to say too good to be true, but that's exactly the opposite of what I mean. There's an old saying that says if something is sounds too good to be true, it probably is. I used to, way back in the day, I actually owned, and I wish I would have kept this domain name if only for the reason that it's funny. I actually owned a domain called spamme.com. And I did it on purpose because back in the early days of the internet, and I'm talking about before the 56K modem existed, okay? I was working in the internet space, and I learned a lot from spammers. Back in those early days of the internet, there was a lot of, it was all collaboration. You could call your closest, nearest competitor and say, hey, I saw you did such and such. Tell me more about that. And they would tell you. And conversely, you would tell them. It was just sharing and helping one another. We knew how huge the world was, and we didn't have to feel all this exclusivity, this hold it real tight and don't let anybody else have. I wish the internet was still that way, because that was one of the things that really hooked me in and really made it worth it. And AI has brought some of that back to us, because now we do have access to pretty much all the information. The only difference between that and then is, AI can't tell you what questions to ask it for you to be able to get the information. Whereas when you're talking to a person, you can even be, hey, I don't even know what I'm talking about here. Can you help me out? And they can. Okay. And we're working on some of those kind of things, but in the end, your prompt is only going to be as effective as your data set is and as the question you ask. Garbage in, garbage out. You ask a stupid question, you're probably going to get a really stupid answer. And that's beyond the fact that some of the AIs are going to tend to shine you on more than they're going to, just give you honest, brutal, hey, this really is stupid feedback. We still need human beings for that. People that love us and that are going to do that kind of stuff for us. And I want to see you be seen, to be heard, and to get paid. And I have put together the system so that can actually absolutely happen. You've got to understand the positioning for your book. Your book is a lost leader marketing item. Okay. And I've talked about this a lot lately. Your book is milk in the back of the store. Okay. Your book is all the other things that are strategically at the back of the store. Okay. The reason why I love using milk is because milk is also usually at the end of the cookie and chip aisle, right? And it's usually next to things like chocolate and cookies and all the little grab and go puddings and all those kind of things. And depending on what store you're in and how big the store is, there are other examples of that. Another one of the aisles, and I'm thinking specifically of the store that I used to go to in Fallbrook all the time. You could go down the chip aisle or you could go down the cookie aisle, and across, if you were ignoring the chips, across from the chips was the prepared foods, pop it in the microwave that you can eat in like 5 minutes. Kind of, so not the frozen ones, but the like like those mashed potatoes that you can get that are already completely done mashed potatoes. 5 minutes later, boom, you've got mashed potatoes on ready to go, whole great big tub of it. That kind of stuff. And you have to walk past all of these grab and go kind of foods in order to be able to get to the milk that you really needed. That's what we need to think about when we think about our book. That's how we need to really envision it, is our book is that thing to get people to the back of our store. And I'm working on some other things to help you really outline your book in such a way so that you lead people to really want to do more with you, because your money's going to come from what you do with it, from the offer, from the, hey, let's work with you. Hey, let's do this with you kind of a situation. And then you get them to take your course, to invite you to be a speaker at their event or talk to their company or those kind of things. That's where the real money is. I can tell you from a marketing experience, I just told you I've been doing it for nearly 40 years now. I can tell you that, it really doesn't take much more, if any more time to sell one book as it does to, sell an entire course. And so what I've done is I've taken the whole concept of selling the book off of your plate. We can get you consistent sales. We can get you consistent, legitimate, real, verified purchaser reviews. Absolutely. Got that all in place, ready to go. It's something I can give to you. And that is, oh, thank you, Amelia. I really appreciate that. Tell me more about what you're doing these days and the amazing stuff you're doing in the world. Because we can really, truly help you get that basic stuff. We can help you get people to your book. Then what we need to do is have a book that, really actually drives them. We want to build that know, like, and trust with them. So how do I know that this is possible? Well, like I said, I tested it. Willie J and I wrote the book Magnetize Media. We put it out in April or May. I want to say it was May of this year. And of course, we made it a #1 international bestseller. And it's continued to stay on the bestseller list throughout. Consistently since we launched it, it's been on the bestseller list. And that's because of some cool things we did in SEO and promotions that we're doing with the book and things like that. But it needed more. It should be more. And we wanted to do something with it. And so because of this system that I've been creating and working on, first thing I'm going to do is test it on myself. And I've got actually a couple other books that I'm going to be testing the system on as well. But I've honed it down to the point where I can now, set it up for you. And I can get you that kind of exposure as well. And so we ran the system. The book was before we ran this promotion. The book was 2.5 something million, almost 2.6 million. It was its ranking out of all the books on Amazon, which, I mean, there's 60, 70, 80 million books on Amazon. So to be in the top 3 million is still, nothing to sneeze at, but not really, the woohoo, I'm, in the top 3 million books. Not something you're going to go out and brag about, right? Well, with this promotion, the book went to number 38,000 out of all books on all of Amazon. Now that's an impressive number. Additionally to that, it went to number 1 in its main category that was already and has been a bestseller. The other 2 categories that were in there, it was languishing in about the 500s range and staying pretty consistently in those 500 range, which still isn't bad to be, have your book in its category be in the top 500-600, but not anything that, again, you're going to credential or brag about. It's kind of like saying, hey, I graduated from college. Well, where'd you go? Where I went to XYZ University. Well, what'd you graduate in your class? Well, I had about a C- average. College graduate, nothing you're going to brag about, right? Same kind of thing. What it ended up doing with those other 2 categories is it actually bumped those up from the 500s down to number 2 and number 3. Made huge, amazing differences. And now we've got reviews that are in the process of coming in. And it takes a couple of weeks because you want a person to actually legit, real reviews. The person needs to really read your book. Okay. And we've got the whole system in place. So we make sure the person's read your book and that they do a legitimate, real review and then post that review. Okay. So I'm talking about real, authorized, verified purchaser reviews, not some kind of scam that's going to get you banned off of Amazon or any of that kind of stuff. We did it. We did it with Magnetize Media. Okay. Willie's book, Never Stop Winning 2.0, is going to come out. Interestingly enough, Willie's book, Never Stop Winning 1.0, he did a book signing Saturday. They sold out. Sold out of every copy of the book that he brought with him, plus all the copies at the bookstore that he was doing the signing at. It was a Barnes & Noble, in case you're wondering. All of them that they had in stock as well. Sold out completely. And they did it very quickly. In fact, he ended up finding himself sitting around waiting, just kind of taking pictures and interacting with people, taking some pre-order, some ship it to me orders and those kind of things, because everybody bought them all up. Cool stuff. And we're going to run this same program with 2.0 that's going to come out probably later this week, if not real early next week. Never Stop Winning 2.0 is going to come out, and you're going to see it do some really incredibly cool, amazing things. This program is there. It's available. It's for you. It's absolutely what you've been looking for and what you need to be visible and valuable, to be seen and get to the things that are really going to get you paid. Okay? Yeah, sure, you'll make like 30 cents a book or something like that, and you'll pay much more than that, $5, $10 to make that 30 cents. Same would be true if you were running it on Facebook. The difference is that you don't have any credibility behind you. And I've spent, hundreds of thousands of dollars, honestly, on Facebook ads, but recently tens of thousands of dollars to go through that same system. And I know people who have spent literally hundreds of thousands of dollars on purpose on their book because they have the funnel, because they know that $100,000 ad spend is going to make them $2 million. But the $2 million didn't come off of the book. They made like 50 grand off of the book. They'd lost money on the sale of the book, but made it on their other programs and things. Same thing's true. We just got more for you. We have a system in place that is going to turn the whole concept of marketing your book on its head and make it the loss leader marketing top of funnel thing that you always wanted it to be, to lead your people and your stuff to what you want. Visibility, being valuable, being known, like, and trusted. Have a third party like Amazon, who sells about 95% of all books sold, that is always saying how great your book is, not just for a day, not just for a minute, but ongoingly is saying that. And it's a system that we've set up just for you. And you really do need it. So if you're ready to really make your book what you always wanted it to be, drop the word amplify. Put it in the comments. DM me, whatever is necessary. Join visibilityamplifier.com, our group, and you can drop the information in there if you want to. You need this program. If you have a book, this is absolutely what you've been asking me for years. Okay, I got my book, I became a bestseller, blah, blah, blah. What's next? This is what's next. This is the thing that you absolutely positively need in order to have the know, the like, the trust, and everything else that you need in order to really, truly, massively, powerfully, effectively make the difference in this world that you're meant to make. I appreciate you so much. I'm so glad for the time that we get to spend together. I'm glad. I enjoy coming to you every day. I hope that when we get together again tomorrow to talk about the book isn't the money, it's the magnet. I hope that you'll join me then too. And until then, that you'll be happy, you'll feel really safe, warm, and loved, and that you have a great week.